And good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to a scene from Edessa the Dark Crusade Season 2, wherein we will be setting scene outside of the city itself and near to the outskirts of the farmlands, albeit not in them, where Garnet has himself a nice big stable full of all manner of pretty horses. And while he has been doing business over the course of the night, Mina has decided that she is going to ride, and as such has been only so far away in a side paddock, having hopped on one of the horses without bothering with a saddle, and has been perhaps making faces here and there, not being obtrusive, and certainly not attracting the attention of the people Garnet deals with, because that would be rude and he would get mad. But he probably catches her making little faces to herself as she's riding, and generally just being an obnoxious kid sister, as it were.
And eventually, after a woman named Francesca steps off the horse and Garnet and her lightly do very elaborate bows and formalities, as she wanders off. The woman is very well dressed, obviously some sort of element of nobility. Garnet will ease his robe and turn, flicking some of the curly hair out of his eyes, and walk over to his sister with a smile. Very, very nice, friendly smile. It's one that only Garnet does just for her.
And seeing as he's approaching that particular paddock, yeah, she'll wrestle a bit with the horse because they're just so much more fun before he completely breaks them. And so it takes a little work to coax this horse to go where she wants it to. And there's probably some wrenching of the bridle until, the poor thing can't help but follow its own nose. And she'll eventually get it pulled up to a bit of a fitful stop alongside the fence, with one hand knotted in the mane while the other's holding the reins.
Well, darling. Seem to have a good wrangle on this one.
And she'll unwrap the one hand to give its neck a pat. Not that it seems to appreciate the gesture. It's been a long walk, brother dear. They're tired. Not as much fight as usual.
Well, that's why I'm letting them rest instead of letting you skirt them around, worrying their legs. After all, even the most powerful horse needs a rest sometimes. Is it Francesca's eyes that bother you, sister, or is it Fran's hips?
And at the slight reproach over riding so soon after driving them all there, she'll drop her eyes in mock apology. She's not sincere by any means, but she'll go through the gestures. Though come the follow-up questions, she puts on a pout of a frown.
Well, which is it?
It's not a very polite thing to ask a lady, brother dear.
Do we look like we're in polite company, Mina?
She adopts a toothy smile. You play polite enough.
He'll put his arms behind his back, watching her. And you making your little tones of mocking. I could hear you. Is this something they said?
She adopts an innocent face almost immediately. Looking down to the horse and giving its neck another pat while its ears twitch, and it kind of does a little bit of a head jerk, like the "why are you touching me?" Who says I was talking about your friends? He needed encouragement.
I'm sure. I'm sure the buxomness of them does set you riling somewhat. After all, I did notice you staring.
Staring's impolite. I would never.
Yeah? No, never. The smile, the same way you stared back home at the girls who were far too pretty.
Again, she just kind of adopts that it's avoiding his gaze in the process, but looking off like I don't even know what you're talking about type of expression.
You gently kind of climb up on over the paddock and turn around and put the horse so to kind of rest into his chest. He's very slow, very caring, almost like he's done this about 1,000 times. And stare at her.
No, she considers. It's very clear that she considers as her hand tightens on the reins, actually turning its head away so that she can write it off. But but no, she hesitates long enough that he manages to get a hold of its head.
Such a proud beast. Always wondering what everyone else thinks. And yet, as he stares into its eyes, I wonder, doesn't realize that it is the most prideful thing in the room, the most interesting, and the one thing that doesn't need to garner its attention with feigned tones of beauty. Funny.
And yeah, sure, he's talking about the horse. Her eyes have narrowed faintly. She's just listening.
Look up. Sound familiar?
And again, her eyes kind of, her brows pop up and her eyes shift off. Though her chin comes up in the process. It's very similar to like a bit of a head toss.
You see Achilles here, traces fingers along the horse's hair, as the horse probably just does a bit of a sugar. It's the most prideful horse I have. Canters. Everyone wants to pet Achilles. Everyone comes around to pet Achilles. Even you. Now on his mane, on his bare back, even, Mina. But you want to know the one thing that bores me about Achilles?
She adopts a tiny frown and finally turns around to look at him again.
And he locks eyes with her. Those like green eyes seem to almost sparkle nearly, kind of with this deep hue. Achilles is boring. Achilles is just feigned beauty. A faded tone that I don't particularly care for. But I need in order to get what I want. And what I want, I will always get.
Always, dear brother.
So, why are you worried about flighty little birds that are only being used to get garner what I want from this world?
And she'll start, especially with him having the head in his hands, having clasped the bridle. This horse isn't going anywhere. She'll finally let drop the reins and be just kind of idly playing with his mane.
Let go of the horse and kind of trace along it with his hands, coming up right beside her, staring. Are you worried that I would cast you aside because you are not, like the Toreadors put it, fine stock?
Recognizing and appreciating necessity aren't the same thing, brother dear.
Oh, you don't think I appreciate you, sister darling? That's a surprise.
No, no.
You look around. Do you know why I'm happy you came here?
No.
Because Mother, for all her qualities, is incredibly boring.
She adopts a very mock, scandalized look. She'll even bring a hand up to her mouth like, it's entirely playful.
Like the seneschal. They sit, they watch, they assume they have power. Funny that. The only real power comes from dipping your hands in the waters and seeing what's left. So why would I consider you boring when you have the same glint I did a long time ago? That same hunger.
And again, the dismissive shrug.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe your mentor will know more than me. Or maybe. He'll look around again as the horse kind of almost. He turns the head so the horse almost kind of bows to him. Maybe he just won't be as open. After all, when you see visions of the world, everything changes.
There's a thoughtful narrow of eyes. And what do you mean by open, dear brother?
When you hear father's call, mother's love, and the crone's dark eyes, stop being afraid of what you expect people to think. Start really opening your eyes to the world that is yours for the taking so long as you play the right hand, dear sister. But then again, you're more worried about what a meat sack who likes the cut of my jib, the tone of my smile, than worrying about what I'm thinking of you.
Maybe I just like some of your pets better than others. Again, playing with the mane.
Some of my pets. Yes, but they are my pets. They are mine. They're servants, slaves, weapons. And they all obey. Do you want to be a slave? Are you that?
Brother dearest.
You smile.
Just so scandalized.
Then don't think like one.
And she finally takes on a broader, toothier smile. You don't like me having opinions, dear brother.
I love you having opinions. I just always amuses me when you get jealous.
And again, the head kind of tosses up. It is, probably to his eyes, comically similar to when horses are being belligerent. Toss their heads.
He'll offer his hand to help her down as well.
And her lips purse for a moment thoughtfully, and after pause enough to count as a token protest, will accept the hand and go ahead and slide down off the bareback.
Once he does, he puts his arms on her shoulders and locks eyes with her. You do trust me, don't you, dear sister?
Of course I do.
Hmm. You do know they watch you all the time, don't you?
Yeah, he's narrow faintly.
The mother watches you, scales in her hand waiting. The father waits for your failure so he can tell you what you've done. And the crone, as he lifts, with the tip of his finger, lifts her chin so she's like right up into those deep green eyes. The crone waits for you to weep because you are not what you say you are, because the sin isn't enough. The training, my dear sister, is nothing when it comes to this road. You can prepare your whole life for it, but the will is everything.
You guys have narrowed faintly in about the best counter one can have for an open stare. And she'll, after a moment, turn her head aside and mock busy herself with quickly unhitching the bridle. And after a quick tug to pull it off of the back of the horse's head, we'll give a flick of the reins to send him fitfully scampering off, probably doing a number of little protesting, hopping steps before he, only gets so far away and finally is like, fuck it.
I'm gonna Garnet will then look at her. Do you fear that, dear sister? When he says that, I'm going to roll Dementation 1. That many dice. And
Make me set up and shit.
yep. What's your? I think your road. I think rating. Yeah, it's your road rating.
Give me one moment.
I set up an extra dice for 3. Real good.
Okay. There we go. Her road is 5.
Okay, so 1 success for about. Hang on, just let me check. Is it an hour or is it? It's 1 again. Disciplines. Dementation. Incubus passion. So for approximately about a turn, that fear is almost you can just feel it suddenly just like push against you for that like briefest of seconds, like a shot. And then it fades.
So he says that, and the fear involuntarily bubbles up. And while he might not catch the hand tightening on the bridle that she's holding, she very abruptly has a hand up where he's put his on her shoulders. She'll lift the other and have knotted the fingers in his tunic. And he'll get to watch the eyes dilate fleetingly. Though she goes kind of stock still, locks up on it. And after the worst of it passes, through gritted teeth, lies. Not even convincingly. She's not trying. Just says no.
To deny one's fear is to deny one's true self. Sweet sister, to fear is to feel alive. We are damned things. It is the only chance we get to feel, but it is alright to fear that, because if you don't have fear, then you don't have sin. Do you? Because the reason why we sin so much is initially we're afraid of the consequences. So we do them to get a rush. And I know, my dear sweet sister, you love a rush.
And yeah, as the fear fades, she definitely will have more of a glint to her eye, look a little more lively. Definitely have ironically of all things kind of perked up in the wake of it.
So who knows how to cater for you best, my sister? Who apart from mother?
And the toothy grin returns, a broad kind of smile, and she'll actually go so far as to step further into his reach because he's been holding her at, arm's length, hands on shoulders. So she'll step closer, inappropriately close. Scandal. I'm looking up at him with that just kind of bright, very lively, almost kind of buzzing smile. You do take good care of me, brother dear.
Good. Now pack your things. Go. We're going to go back to my place. Make sure you're comfortable, and if you need to feed, well, make sure we get something nice for you. Oh, and Mina will turn very slowly and smile very widely.
And yeah, she's plucking up a thing or two left by the feds. She'll pop her head up attentively.
You smile and walk over. Again, walking very slowly, very deliberately, almost like step, step, step. And he puts his hand right in her face, rocking the cheek from side to side, almost like he's tracing it along, like you see him do with his horses. Let's see. Garnet. Yeah, fuck it. Garnet's being naughty. And it is. What's your perception self-control?
What a weird pull.
I know, right? Or perception instinct. Sorry, perception instinct.
So 6.
6. Okay. 3. Okay. And he'll smile. A sweet, sweet smile. Be sure to have pleasant dreams when we do sleep. Dreams are often the key to everything in this life. Dear sister. He'll plant a kiss on her cheek. And that's when the dementate haunt the soul activates. And we'll begin to walk off whistling.
And I imagine that she has no real ready way of catching it, so is this something he would have done to her in the past?
Probably not. No, this is something he's wanted to try for a while, but we'll never do it around Mother because she'd give out to him.
In which case, yeah, she has no reason to be suspicious of the comment. So she gets a little kiss on the cheek and is all the happier for it and takes up her things and follows along behind because she gets to go hang out with her bro tonight. And will all in all seem very pleased with herself. This will change later. So mean. Should we call it there?
Yep.
Then in that case, watchers, thank you for watching. Players, thank you for playing. And we'll see you next time on a likely far, far more emotionally violent scene from Edessa, The Last Crusade, Season 2.